I see my name in shining lights, yeah, a different city every night. Oh, I swear the world better prepare for when I'm a billionaire.
It's time to get down to business on the weekend's #1 business program. Known as the King of Networking, your host, Shalom Klein, has worked with thousands of entrepreneurs and created countless jobs. So, to success. Let's get down to business.
And indeed, we are all about small business jobs and entrepreneurship in business. We talk a lot about business here. You are on with Get Down to Business, and I'm your host, Shalom Klein. Remember, you can always download podcasts from Get Down to Business on my website at shalomklein.com. And while you are there, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Shalom Klein. It's going to be a jam-packed week of content and information you'll not want to miss. So let's jump right in. I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by Matthew Mosley, communication strategist, author, and speaker. And might I add, he holds 3 world records for long-distance swimming. And he has spent his career at the intersection of public policy, business, and government, and is the author of a brand new book, Ignition, Superior Communication Strategies for Making Stronger Connections, something all of our listeners know I am deeply, deeply passionate about and have been looking forward to this conversation. So, Matt, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Shalom. I am really excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I love to get to know the person behind the microphone, and I love that part of your bio, part of your background involves hobbies, which has turned into, I think, a lot more than a hobby when you win 3 world records. I think it's fair to say it's a pretty big part of your life. But your business, your impact making, and I'm going to use that word a lot, as well as, of course, again, all of the things that you, your family are doing. And you're joining us from Boulder, Colorado. So let's talk a little bit of your story and how you became the Matthew Mosley.
Well, I grew up in Louisiana and had worked at a restaurant there right out of college called Commander's Palace. And it was at the time voted the #1 restaurant in America. Emeril Lagasse was starting his career there. And it was a terrific experience. But then they moved me to Houston. I didn't like it there so much and moved to Colorado. I moved to Telluride, and it was there I had the fortunate circumstance of teaming up with an author, John Nesbitt, who wrote the book Megatrends. And he was looking for a research assistant. And so I worked with him for a while in Telluride, ended up meeting a woman, Kristen Mosley, who would become my wife. And we moved to Boulder. She went to law school. I went to graduate school, and we used Boulder as a home base. And from there, I worked in Los Angeles as a national field director at Rock the Vote. A number of different campaigns, and have basically been a communication strategist and a writer here in Boulder for the last 25 years.
Absolutely, and that's a great background. So, again, the title of the book is called Ignition, which is really all about, call it, communication strategies for making stronger connections. And I know you've been working on the book for 5 years. So, what inspired you to write it? And why is it such an important book for our times?
Sure. I started it about 5 or 6 years ago in an effort to bring clarity to what I do as a profession, which is communications and public affairs. It's a subset of public relations, right? I think public affairs, just to define it really quickly for the audience, is the alchemy of turning money and resources into power. How do you make an impact with the resources that you have? And so I wanted to bring some clarity to what it is I did as a profession. And so I started taking notes. I write a lot of articles about different topics, and started doing interviews with a number of different people, such as astrophysicists or fighter pilots, about how they used communications in their own worlds to be successful. And what I determined, Shalom, was that successful leaders, successful companies and brands, entrepreneurs are only as successful as their ability to communicate. So I believe that communications is one of the very key fundamental building blocks and DNA for any success out there.
It's such an important message. And you have I don't want to get too far ahead, but you have a call to action for readers in the book. And I'm big into calls to action. We have this conversation, we air it on Sunday evening. So it gives people an opportunity to get their week off to a good start, especially as we're talking in the beginning of Q3 2021. So what is the call to action? What's the most important thing that people can do when picking up the book? And obviously, please don't give away all the secrets, because I do want to make sure that people find the book and purchase a copy.
You bet. Well, the call to action is about, we face some serious issues in our world today, whether it's, I believe water. That's why I'm an open water swimmer. I think water is the most critical issue of our time. There is public education. There is healthcare. There's transportation, about how we get around. All of these issues are places for entrepreneurs to make an impact as well. And so the call to action is that we want to provide the tools and the motivation for how do we get people to care about these issues, right? How do we get people to care about water and drought in the West? Well, my solution was to go swim a river, but other people have, there's a lot of other ways to do it. For instance, I worked with an education association, and to help draw attention to public education, we had 17,000 people show up at the state capitol at a rally, and that really moved the issue. And so it's different strategies and tactics for how you can move issues and make people care about some of the biggest things in our world today.
And it's so important. And you mentioned this earlier, and certainly I know that there is a strong connection between your world records, as well as, of course, your business strategies that you are so passionate about and that you teach in the book, Ignition: Superior Communication Skills for Making Stronger Connections. But you mentioned this, that you've had interviews and you've had a lot of opportunities to interact with a lot of unique people, and you share some of those insights with readers of Ignition. So you've had conversations with the fighter pilots, an astrophysicist, a Disney producer, owner of CrossFit, even with famed outlaw journalist Hunter S. Thompson. So how are all of those conversations connected, and what are some of the themes that you've seen develop?
Absolutely. One of the themes that seems to be very current through all of the interviews, and especially with somebody like Eric Rosa, who just took over CrossFit, who had started Data Logics, is that there is a profound sense of people who are successful in communications is that they are proactive. They're out there, they're controlling the agenda. Hunter once asked me in his kitchen after we had literally blown off a bomb in his backyard. And he goes, son, do you know what the meaning of the word politics is? And I sort of struggled on this very basic question. And he said, politics is the art of controlling your environment. And the same goes for business and being an entrepreneur. And those who control their environment better are able to be successful and thrive within it. And so part of the book is about it. It's about communication. It's about leadership, but it's a lot about controlling our own environment and how we do that, and the tools and the situations and the people that we put around ourselves to make our dreams and visions become realities.
Fascinating. It is a fascinating read, and I encourage certainly our listeners to make sure that they pick up a copy of the book. So I am fascinated. You've been working on this book for 5 or 6 years, and now obviously it's being released now. The world is slowly coming back to normal, and prior to going live, we had a conversation about the book rollout. I know that you are traveling the globe, hopefully, in spreading some of the messages, because it really is all about impact. So just in our very brief minute remaining, tell us a little bit of where you will be and spreading the word, and of course, how people can pick up a copy of the book and get in touch.
You betcha. We launched the book in New Orleans in early June, and we've had a couple of different stops in Denver and in Boulder. Taking a little bit of break to let the world open a little bit, which is exciting right now. There's a lot going on. But in the fall, I'll be in New York City around the 19th or 20th, looking to come to your hometown, Shalom, in Chicago around that time as well. And then hopefully we'll go out into a little bit international and looking at Tel Aviv in November, and then Zurich after that, and a couple of other stops in Europe. So really excited to get on the road and really talk about the book. because I think it's an important book for now, because we were having a conversation earlier, right, Shalom, that entrepreneurs and brands who really communicated well and were proactive survived during this tough time in the pandemic. Those who were sort of timid, that hid in the shadows, they didn't do so well. And so I think it's an important lesson going forward. It's not just crisis communications, it's communications all the time, right? And so that's the message that I want to get out there. You can find me at the ignitionstrategygroup.com. We have a team of people and we work on a lot of different clients and issues. So give us a shout and we're always here.
Absolutely. Ignition Strategy Group. And again, the author of Ignition: Spirit Communication Skills for Making Stronger Connections, as well as several other books. Make sure you check it out. Listen up. We are going to squeeze in a quick break. We'll be back on the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship in just a moment. Don't touch that dial.